Hey internet, me again. I just thought I'd show you another project I've been working on. You're probably not that bothered, but I'm going to show you anyway, like I do. Helen's granddad's pretty visually impaired these days, but he still likes to watch telly, and because he can see what's going on and he can hear what's going on, obviously. But he's just not quite able to read the Radio Times anymore. So I thought I'd take it upon myself to build something that would read out what's on the telly to him, basically. So I'm going to show you how I've made that with some scripting, some wires, and some computers and stuff. So let's have a look. So first off, let's have a look at the brains of it. I made this enclosure out of some bits and bobs I'd lying around. It's basically an old PC speaker in a plastic box with some wood on it and a Raspberry Pi and some other bits and bobs that sort of hold it all together. So let's have a look inside. Let's turn it upside down here. So what we have here is a Raspberry Pi. This is a USB hub that I'm using to power the Raspberry Pi. It's also got a little USB sound card in it because the onboard Raspberry Pi sound is a bit rubbish and clicky and crap. And I've also put a connector on here. It connects to here. That's a bit out of a photocopier. There's a nice little USB daughter board which saved me some messing about, which the controller plugs into, which is basically a hacked up USB keyboard that I've wired some buttons and a joystick to, but we'll have a look at that in a minute. This is the speaker out of an old PC speaker, and this thing here is a little volume controlled 5-volt amplifier that I got off eBay for a few quid, and that's been powered by the hub again. And it's taking the output of the sound card here and putting it into the speaker. So that's the brains of it. Let's have a look at the controller. So here we have the controller. Yeah, it's a bit comical. It's basically a wire box from Maplin that I've put some joystick buttons on. Some like arcade controls. Again, internet serves that purpose. Pretty cheap. Maybe 12 quid's worth of stuff. And basically in here, I'll just lift this off. Might be a bit, can't remember which way I did the wires. Yeah, let's move this. So you can see that as I lift that off, these are all the wires that I've run, and this thing here is the control board out of a USB keyboard. Now basically I took apart a keyboard that I'd spilt some coffee on and wasn't really working anymore, so I chucked it in my parts bin, and basically took it apart and with my meter and my eyes followed the traces for the numbers 1 to 0 and then worked out which wires I need to connect together on a switch to press the number 1 or the number 2, etc, etc. So yeah, that's basically what it does. And then my program scripts look for key press, and when they see 1 they do one thing, when they see a 2 they do another thing. So let's fire this up and watch it in operation. So basically, to hold this together, I scoured the internet and I found this awesome free web service called Atlas. And basically what it does, it allows you to make a request to it, supplying a channel, a time period, etc, etc, and then it'll go and get the schedule information for that, and then you can then, based upon that, go and get the content information. So basically what I'm doing is, in my code, going and getting the information off the internet, and then I then send that to Google Translate, which will take some text, convert it from one language to another, and then say it out loud. But basically, obviously I'm not translating it, but I'm just getting it to say it in English by sending the text to it. So yeah, that's the websites there that sort of hold this together. Now over here on my Linux laptop that I used to program this up, because it's just easier to transfer files around between the Raspberry Pi and this. This is some code that does the talking to Google bit. It's all written in Python. This is the code that I've used that goes and talks to this Atlas site. And then here is the main program loop. And you can see here it's looking, if it sees a Q it quits, if it sees an X it shuts down, if it sees one it does one thing, two it does another, blah 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 blah. Again, I don't expect anyone to understand this unless they're a programmer and I sort of actually showed you the code, but I haven't. So right, I'm going to now fire up the computer and we'll see what it does. Now what I didn't show you earlier is the reason I mounted the Raspberry Pi on the back of the case is I've put all the scripts on a USB memory card, and then I can just plug this in the side here. So that enables me to update it if I add any features. I'm trying to future-proof it a little bit, and obviously if there's any bugs or anything I can just pull that memory stick out, upload the new code and reboot it. You can see on here I've put a reset button on the back. That's the power socket for the USB hub. It's basically, I'm using it as a power supply as well as the hub. And then that little widget on the bottom there, I can plug in the keyboard. Cool. Okay, so I've just booted it up, so it should say something in a moment.
Hello George, I am your electronic voice assistant. You can call me Eva for short.
Okay, so that's booted up now. So going to the joystick, I've tried to come up with an easy to remember operation, so to allow you to select channels and time periods, etc. So rather than have loads of buttons, I went for a joystick and then buttons to sort of do the actions that you've set. So pressing up changes the schedule.
Channel 5.
So we keep cycling that.
Film 4. Al Jazeera. BBC 1.
So we're on BBC 1. Set the day, it's left.
Tuesday the 3rd of March.
Just keep doing it.
Wednesday the 4th of March.
Go through to Thursday.
Thursday the 5th of March.
I'll go all the way back to today.
Friday the 6th of March. Today the 1st of March.
Okay, so that's today. I'll set the time period, so go right, pushing right does that.
10 PM to midnight.
So let's see what's on now.
now.
So what's on now? And then toggling down turns content description on or off. So it would say BBC News, 6 o'clock, da da da. But if it was, say, an episode of a programme or a film, and you want to know what it's about, you turn content description on and it will read that out. So I'll toggle it on and off with the down.
Content description is on.
That's on.
Content description is off.
And that's off. Now, if you've set the settings, you want to remember what you've got them set to. If you press the yellow button, it'll read to you what you've got currently set. So I'll do that now.
BBC 1 for today the 1st of March between the hours of what's on now. Descriptions are off.
Okay, cool. And then to go and do that, we basically press the green button.
Please wait. Collecting schedule data. Please wait. Collecting content data. There are 1 programs for BBC 1 West Midlands on Sunday the 1st of March between 1:15 PM and 2 PM. 1:15 PM. Bargain Hunt.
Yeah.
That concludes the listings.
So that concludes the listings. There's only 1 program on because we said what's on now. Let's turn content descriptions on because we want to know more about that.
Content description is on.
And then fire off again.
Please wait. Collecting schedule data. Please wait. Collecting content data. There are 1 programs for BBC 1 West Midlands on Sunday the 1st of March between 1:15 PM and 2 PM. 1:15 p.m. Bargain hunt. Anita Manning helps a father and daughter pair of writers, and Mark Stacey resorts to an aerobic workout to keep his team warm in Arden Lee, a West Sussex. Presenter Tim Wonnacott visits Bristol to discover the history of Great George, the bell inside the Wills Memorial Building. That concludes the listings.
Okay, so that wasn't exactly entirely legible, but it's better than nothing. So yeah, that's basically it. If you did toggle this switch to the side, it'll shut down, but I'm probably just going to say leave it on 24/7. You can shut it down, and then pressing a reset button on the back would fire it up again. So I'll do that just for demonstration.
Powering down. Thank you for using Eva.
So that's basically it.